Welcome back, dear participants, for a very informative session on a transformational tour of outcomes attainment in the process of NBA accreditation by Dr. Therese Yamuna Mahesh. Dr. Therese is a member of Amaljodi family from April 2002. She possesses a wide array of experience as engineering and education professional in the Middle East and India. She is a recipient of CERT funding for student projects by KTU, Best Paper Awards at various technical fests, an eminent resource person for various NAC and NBA accreditation orientation programs and machine learning and artificial intelligence. Is also the trainer of artificial intelligence and machine learning under ASAP. She has a number of publications in journals and conferences, out of which 5 are on NBA accreditation. Madam, I welcome you to take over the session.
Thank you, Indumas, for the kind words of introduction. So today, our topic will be a tour of outcomes attainment in the process of NBA accreditation. So the topics for discussion which we'll have today is what is OBE, how to write a course outcome, and why is Bloom's taxonomy needed, a practical approach to measurement of course outcomes. So first, let us start with an introduction to what is outcome-based education. So I've taken the introduction from Wikipedia. So in layman's terms, outcome-based education is an educational theory with a set goal. So once the student has passed through the program, he should have attained the goal. So that is the aim of this outcome-based education. In other words, you are imparting some sort of skills to the students. By the end of the program, the student would be proficient in that skill. So if we think about this, this is like what we had in the days of Gurukulams, when a guru had a certain number of disciples and all of them were trained in a particular area. And once they complete their education, they'll be well versed in the area of study. So this outcome-based education is also going back to our ancient history, where we find the real value of education. So the outcome-based model, it focuses on the objectives of the outcome of the program, and the outcomes should be specific, measurable, and also it should be attainable. So we are very much familiar with the term outcome now. So we should know how to specify the outcome of a particular program, how we can measure it, and for some measurement to be possible, it should be attainable also. So we'll see how we should write the outcomes that we have to attain. So this is the broad diagram of the 21st century program structure of the outcome-based education. And this is very interesting as this depicts the academic institute. You have the vision and mission of the institute at the top. Then you have the program educational outcomes. So vision and mission, they give what will be the product of the institute, what will be the skills of the students, and what will the students do after they pass out from the institute. So that is a broad description of the vision and mission. So vision gives the desire and the way in which the institute trains the students, and the mission gives the steps to achieve the vision. Then an institute will consist of several departments, and each department can give a program educational outcome. So program educational outcome specified by the department will indicate what the student will become after he passes out from the program, and we'll be tracking his progress for the next 5 years. So what he becomes during the next 5 years after passing out from our institute will depend on the skills that he acquires. So program educational outcomes should give what are the skills that we are giving to the students when they go through our program. Then below that we have the program outcomes and the program specific outcomes. So the program outcomes, if we speak with respect to NBA accreditation, as of now, program outcomes are specified by NBA. NBA is National Board of Accreditation, and NBA for engineering graduates has specified 12 program outcomes. And in addition to these program outcomes, we can specifically state what our department is specializing in. So that is given by the program specific outcome. For example, if the electronics department in our college specializes in VLSI, then the program specific outcome of the department should concentrate on VLSI design. If in a neighboring college, the same electronic department concentrates on microwave electronics, that college's program specific outcome will indicate microwave specialization. So this will vary from college to college. So the same department in two colleges will be different with respect to the program specific outcomes. But the program outcome specified by the NBA, which indicate the minimum requirements that a graduate engineer should have, will be the same. Okay, so from the program outcomes, we can specify the program specific outcomes. Okay, so now these three are in the higher level of the structure, that is mission, program educational objectives, program outcomes, and program specific outcomes. Then comes the course outcome. You can see the arrow from the course outcome is directly pointing to teaching learning process. Okay, so this teaching learning process, it follows a cycle. You are evaluating the teaching learning process, evaluation result analysis. Then you are again correcting the teaching learning process. And what are the additional things involved with this? You have the technology tools, shared resources from the industry, active feedback from the industry. Because as far as engineering education is concerned, you should be up to date with the industry. There is no need of teaching a tool which had become obsolete a few years back. So an active feedback from the industry is always required, and you have to consider this when you write the course outcomes. And also the teaching learning process should always include technology tools and shared resources from the industry side. Okay, so as you can see, the direct interaction between the interaction in learning occurs in the course outcomes, because here the interaction takes place between the teacher and the student. Okay, so if we follow the structure, as far as this is a simplified version, you have the mission and vision, program educational objectives at the next level, then you have program outcomes, and these program outcomes will be attained by making use of the course outcomes. So we'll be concentrating on this part in this session. Okay, and graduate attributes were defined by NBA, and based on the graduate attributes, we used to write the program outcomes before. But now NBA has come out with 12 program outcomes directly, and the 12 program outcomes are clearly specified. Okay, so this is the key constituents of outcome-based education: vision and mission, program educational objectives, program outcomes, and then the course outcomes. So we'll start from the bottom. We'll start from the course outcomes, then proceed to the vision and mission statements. Okay. So 90% of interaction in the study of a course is between the teacher and the students in a classroom. Okay. So the two pillars of an educational institution are the teachers and the students. And course outcomes give a measure of the efficiency and coordination. So course outcomes form the basis. If the course outcomes are good and if they are attained well, automatically the program outcomes will be attained. So only a good course outcome can lead to a good program outcome. Now, how to write the course outcomes and what is the main difference between a learning objective and a learning outcome? Okay, so learning objectives are always specified on top of the syllabus. When a new subject is allotted to us, when we see the syllabus, we can see the objectives. The first statement will be objectives. So these objectives refer to what the instructor is supposed to do. Describe what an instructor or program aims to do. Mostly, we misunderstand this objective to be the course outcome, but both are different. Learning outcomes or the course outcomes. Learning outcomes is another name for course outcome. So learning outcomes is a statement that describes in observable and measurable terms what a student is able to do after completing the course, or if it is a program outcome or completing the program. Okay, so I hope this difference is clear. Learning objectives is something which is given to the instructor, what an instructor is supposed to do, and learning outcomes is something which a student should attain after he completes the course. So characteristics of learning outcomes. Okay, so a learning outcome, a good learning outcome or a course outcome should be achievable, specific, and measurable. So if it is achievable, it is an action-oriented state. It should be an action-oriented statement concerned with the learner. Okay. Only if some action is being performed, you can achieve something. So it should be an action-oriented statement concerned with the learner. And also it should be specific. The instructor should know what he is going to teach and what the student will achieve. And if it is an action-oriented statement, it should be measurable. Okay, so these are the three things that are of importance when you write a course outcome. Okay, we go to the next slide. So I've told you that you need some action to be achieved in the course outcome. So course outcome should not be formulated with vague statements like the student should understand, appreciate, students should study, etc. So these statements, problem with these statements is you cannot measure them. And these are very vague. It's not an action verb. So action verbs indicate what the student will be able to do actively, like identify, assess, list, solve, analyze, design, compare, etc. Okay, it should not be abstract. It should not be abstract verb like understand, study, appreciate, etc. So a course outcome should never start with the words to study, to understand, to appreciate, etc. Okay, so this is one point that we should have in mind while writing the course outcome. So learning outcomes or instructional objectives or course outcomes. These are the different names by which the course outcomes are known. We commonly call it as course outcomes. Some places they call it as learning outcomes or instructional objectives. Okay, so the definition for this course outcome is it's a statement of something which is specific, measurable, and achievable that student should be able to do after receiving instruction of it. Okay, all the three things should be achieved in our course outcome. So in a well-written course outcome, we should have the three components, that is the performance component, the condition component, and the criterion component. So these three components should satisfy these three functions, that is specific, measurable, and achievable. Now we'll see what is a performance component, what is a condition component, and what is a criterion component, and how we can write a course outcome by including all these three components. Okay. So performance, as the name suggests, it depends on the verb that we are going to use in the course outcome. And the main intent of the course outcome is the skill attained by the student. So the skill attained is very important here. So two types of performance components are overt and covert. Overt means what we can see or hear, like draft a report, draft a letter, dance, etc. This is something which can be seen, and this is highly encouraged while writing the course outcome. Covert means, an example will be to develop an appreciation of music. So this needs to be converted to overt. This is to space overt. In that case, you can write what are the qualities that he should have to appreciate the music. In that way, this covert statement can be converted to an overt statement. So this is all about the performance component. Next, we'll go to the condition component. So condition component is also an important part of our course outcome. And this condition component mentions the conditions for the occurrence of the task. Okay, so this can include the materials, tools, facilities, etc., which you can use for performing the action under the given criteria. Okay, then the next component is the criterion component. So to measure the quality of performance, we use the criterion component. Okay, so students will know if they have met or exceeded the expectations by means of the criterion component. And the component tells the learner how often, how well, how much, how will we know it is okay. Okay, so I hope now we have three components for writing the course outcome: performance component, condition component, and criterion component. And these are some examples of common criteria like speed, time limit on the performance, minimum marks for passing, grades, how often something needs to be done. It can be numeric also for testing the level of accuracy, and also the quality of performance can be included in the criterion component. So now let us see an example of a course outcome. Example, write a review of the paper in English with no grammar mistakes using word processor. So in this, what is the observable action? Write a review of the paper in English. This is what the student is supposed to do. This is the observable action. And what is the measurable criteria here? With no grammar mistake. This is the criteria which you are specifying in this course outcome. And what is the condition of performance? The tool which you are going to use is the word processor, using the word processor. So this is an example of a course outcome where you have the three components specified. That is the performance component, the criterion component, and the condition component. Okay. So errors in COs will be, so if you see this course outcome, student will be able to analyze the various approaches to implement the digital system to arrive at the most suitable approach. Okay, so can you find out the mistake, or is there any mistake in this? You can use the chat window. Is this all right? This course outcome? So there's a problem with this. Students will be able to analyze the various approaches to implement the digital system to arrive at the most suitable approach. So here you can measure the outcomes, but these are not achievable. So why is it not achievable? Because it is not specific to arrive at the most suitable approach and various approaches. So various approaches and most suitable approach, they are not specific to the student. Student might do it, but it is not achievable to the fullest extent. Okay. Now we'll go to the second example. Apply KVL to the RC coupled amplifier circuit. Can anyone try this? Is it all right, or is there any? Yes, previous case we have got the correct answer. Name of the approach should be mentioned by Gopal Gupta. That is the correct answer. And here apply KVL to the RC coupled amplifier circuit. So here the problem is, let's see what the incorrect cognitive level. So apply KVL. Okay, here a circuit name is of course mentioned. Apply KVL means you cannot apply KVL to the RC coupled amplifier circuit. You have to use the word analyze here. Analyze the RC coupled amplifier using KVL. Because once you apply KVL, you cannot apply KVL to the entire circuit. You have to split the circuit into different parts and then apply KVL to it. So you cannot directly apply KVL to the circuit. You have to use a different verb here. Okay. Then another one example is provide students with necessary background to analyze language processes. So what's the problem here? Provide students necessary background to analyze language processes. It is not learner-centric. Because you are not asking the students to do a specific thing here. It's just a general statement. Provide students necessary background to analyze language processes. Which processor it's not mentioned. Okay, it's not specific also. Describe the fundamental concepts of software quality management. So here, as we can see, it's a broad statement. Outcomes are measurable. Fundamental concepts can be described but it is not specific. Which software or what quality should be measured? It is not specific. Okay. So these are the errors which we often make while writing a course outcome. Okay. Then assessment and evaluation based on the course outcomes. Measurable results in tests, making test very focused and uniform. Okay. So this course outcome is also very closely related to giving the test questions. Okay. So measurable results in test, making test very focused and uniform. If your course outcome is a measurable and specific outcome, students will know exactly what they will be tested on. And there is no need to second guess the instructors. So this is a common problem which most of us face when we set the question papers. On the day before the exam, we will get a lot of calls asking what are the important questions. So if our course outcomes are set properly, and if the student knows exactly what they will be tested on, this problem can be totally avoided. Okay. So it provides a benchmark to determine whether the main intent has been achieved. So our main intent is to transfer some skill to the students. And it also checks whether learners are competent enough in a particular area. So the level of accuracy in writing the course outcome should be such that the student should clearly know what he should study and what he will be tested upon. Okay. So why should outcomes be assessed? So assessment of student learning with a focus on continuous improvement is key to ensuring the quality of our educational programs and preparing our graduates to enter a global workforce. So with each course outcome, we are ensuring that our student has obtained that particular skill. And in the end, he will be ready to enter the global workforce, provided he has attained all the skills. The cumulative result of student learning in our curricular and co-curricular activities enables the career and professional accomplishments of our graduates. And in an era of accountability and transparency, outcomes assessment has become an international standard of quality. So writing the course outcome is very important in transferring in two ways. First one is in transferring the skill to the students and making the student the center of your work. That is, he should know what he is going to learn and what he will be tested upon and what skill he will be attaining. So syllabus versus course outcome. So syllabus, as we know, it provides the list of topics covered in the course. Okay. And what does the course outcome provide? The course outcome provides a major skill that has to be developed by the learner on completion of the course. Okay. So this is our syllabus, which we get from our university, KTU, Kerala Technological University. This is the front part. So I've taken the syllabus of basics of electronics engineering as an example, as it will be familiar to all of us. So at the top part, you have the course objectives to get basic idea about types, specifications, and common values of passive and active components. So mostly we will misunderstand this to be the course outcome, but this is not the course outcome. These are the instructions to the faculty members. These are the directions in which the faculty members should work to transfer the skills to the students. And below that, you have got the expected course outcome. So this is also a broad statement. This is not the course outcome. This is a broad idea of the expected course outcome. And it is written that student can identify the active and passive electronic components. Student can set up simple circuits using diodes and transistors. Student will get fundamental idea about basic communication systems and entertainment electronics. So this is a very broad statement, which is an expected outcome. Okay. So how do we write the correct course outcome? Now, basics of electronics, as you know, is a very introductory course. And when we look at the syllabus, we'll hardly think what will be the skill which I can transfer to the student, because it is a very basic course. So we have to follow a structure like this for writing effective course outcomes. Okay, so here the structure is also taken from NPTEL lectures. So this is from IIT Kharagpur, this structure. So the course outcome, so for writing the course outcome, we have to start with the course name. That is, of course, very simple. We can write the course name. Then you have to write a course overview. So course overview, usually it will consist of 2 paragraphs. So the first paragraph will be the topic coverage. And the second paragraph will be how you can motivate the students to take this course. Okay. Then you should also specify how this course fits into the program and how it maps with the program outcome. This program outcome also will be seen later in the session, and we have to map our course into the 12 program outcomes, which is given by the National Board of Accreditation. Okay, so this also should be included in the 2 paragraph. And if it is an engineering course, how it fits to solve the engineering problems. This is also related to the program outcomes provided by the NBA. There are 12 program outcomes and the first 5 program outcomes. And most of our courses will map to the first 5 program outcomes, because the first 5 program outcomes deal with the cognitive domain or the knowledge domain. Okay, so you have to specify how it maps to the program outcomes also. And if it is a general course like ethics, you have to show how it solves the problem of engineer and society. Okay, so these are the important things that you should have in mind while you write the course overview. Then the next one is course outcome. Course outcome, and this is how you map the course outcome to the program outcomes. So program outcome, I told you there are 12 program outcomes, and the first 5 program outcome are domain specific, which means it deals with the cognitive domain or the knowledge domain, and most of our theory subjects and practicals will map to these 5 program outcomes. And we have program outcomes 6 to 12, which are domain independent, where you have teamwork, communication skills, lifelong learning, engineer and society. All those things are included in the domain independent program outcomes. So you should see that all the program outcomes are attained by your courses. So you have to be very careful while mapping your course outcome with the program outcomes. Okay, so these are the program outcomes which are defined by NBA. And one more thing which I want to note over here is the first, let us take the first program outcome, engineering knowledge. Okay, so usually if we have a subject, if we have anything related to mathematics or science or engineering fundamentals, we will, if there's something related to mathematics, we will map it to engineering knowledge, because we have a knowledge of mathematics over here. Okay, but that is not the right way for mapping, because you should always give importance to the word apply over here. Apply the knowledge of mathematics, science, engineering fundamentals, and an engineering specialization to the solution of complex engineering problems. Actually, the verbs that are important over here is solve. Solve complex engineering problems. How to solve? By applying the knowledge of mathematics, science, engineering fundamentals, and an engineering specialization to the solution of complex engineering problems. So I'll just move two steps ahead. We have something called Bloom's taxonomy. So in Bloom's taxonomy, this engineering knowledge stands at level 3. Level 1 is just knowledge. Level 2 is understanding. Level 1 is remembering or knowledge. Level 2 is understanding. And level 3 is application. So you can see that the first program outcome in NBA stands at the level of application. Okay. Application and solution. So there is, in engineering education, there is no level below the application level. Okay. All these relate to analysis, relate to higher levels. Design is a level above analysis. Then you have to conduct investigations and modern tool usage. All these things refer to higher levels in the Bloom's taxonomy, which we'll be seeing later. Okay. And from 6 to 12, you have the non-domain specific program outcomes, which are also equally important. Okay. So course level learning outcomes, as we have seen now, are the major takeaway by the students. Students should realize that from this course, these are the major skills that I should develop. And for a 40, so most of our courses, they come to about 40 hours. How many COs are possible? Most of the time we'll have a confusion as to how many COs we should write for a course, for a given course. Okay, so for a 40-hour program, it would nearly take 8 hours to develop a skill in the students. So on this basis, 5 course outcomes are possible. Okay, that is, what does this mean? It means that you require nearly 8 hours to develop a certain skill in the students. So if it is a 40-hour course, then you can write 5 course outcomes for that course. Okay. Sometimes you might be able to cover one module in, say, 2 hours. So an outcome cannot be attained in 2 hours. So that outcome are not measurable, but it might be required to jump onto the higher level outcomes. Okay, so the minimum time also is an important factor. You cannot attain an outcome within 2 hours. That is not a course level learning outcome. Okay, so I hope these 2 points are now clear: course overview and course outcome. Then you have got course level problems. That is, for testing each outcome, you should have a course level problem. How will we know whether the student has attained that outcome? So for testing whether the student has attained this particular outcome, you should give a course level problem. Okay, so these are the 3 things which we should project to the students. Okay, now the level below that is the course modules. So you might be wondering why we should require this module overview, module outcome, module level problems, module learning strategy, and module lectures. We have already seen what is a course overview, what is a course outcome, what are course level problems. Then what is the need for this module overview, module outcome? We will understand that when we take a simple course like this. Okay, we'll just go see what is a module overview. Module overview will be how this module fits into the course. Course overview was how the course fitted into the program. Okay, and coverage of the module. So these are things which you should include in module overview. If you have 5 modules, you have to write 5 module overviews. Then module learning strategy. So this is very important because nowadays lot of materials are available. So how do we filter the topics and the materials and ask the students to study a particular topic? So one of our primary aims will be to make the student study on his own. We should act as facilitators. We should only direct the students, tell them what to study and how to study. So out of the enormous amount of material that is available today, we should be able to filter the topics and direct the students and show him the right path as to what to study and how to study and when to study. Okay. So module lectures, this is also specified by the university. Sometimes module lectures will be at the rate of 1 to 15 lectures for a particular module. So this will be helpful as it is already provided by the university. Okay. So now we'll see how we can write a course outcome for a simple course like this. That is, the course name is Basics of Electronics and the credits is 1 tutorial, no practicals. So it's basically a theory course. So you have to, using this theory course, you have to impart some skill to the students. That is what should be highlighted in your course outcome. Okay, now let us see what is there in the syllabus. So if we go to the syllabus, the first module you can see evolution of electronics, impact of electronics in industry and in society, then resistors, capacitors, types, specifications, standard values, marking, color coding, inductors and transformers, types, specifications, principle of working, electromechanical components, relays and contactors. So this is your first module. So in first impression, you might be thinking, what is the skill that I can transfer to the student? So you have to start by writing the module outcome first. So if I'm writing the module outcome for this, to identify and remember the type, specification and principle of working of resistors, capacitors, inductors, transformers, relays and contactors. So what are the levels here? Identify, remember. Is it suitable for a engineering college course outcome? Definitely no. Because levels like remember, identify, these are in the ITI or diploma level only. You cannot write the course outcome using verbs like this, identify and remember. But it is okay for module outcome. So in module outcome, you can directly specify what you are going to do in the first module. But here, the point is, you are not transferring any specific skill to the students. Okay, no skill is being transferred. It is just something related to remembering and identifying. Then come to module 2. Again, it is PN junction diode, intrinsic, extrinsic, semiconductors, principle of operation, VI characteristics, principle of working of Zener diode, photodiode, LED and solar cell, bipolar junction transistors, same thing repeated here. So how will I write the module outcome for that? So for the given PN junction diodes and bipolar junction transistors, these are the conditioned parts now. To study, this is the action verb. Principle of operation, VI characteristics of diode, IO characteristics of common emitter configurations, NPN only. So this is the criteria now. What I've written in blue indicates the criteria, red indicates the conditions, and green indicates the action verbs. Okay. So now after writing module outcome 1 and module outcome 2, I am just thinking whether I have transferred any skill to the student. Okay. So if I go over these two module outcomes, I can say, I cannot still say that I have transferred some skills to the students. So I am still waiting to write my course outcome 1. Okay. Even now, I have not, I cannot say that there is a specific skill that I have given to the students. So let me go to module 3. So module 3 is rectifiers and power supplies, block diagram description of a DC power supply, half wave, full wave, including bridge, rectifier, capacitor filter, working of simple Zener voltage regulator. Okay. So here I can do something to write a course outcome now. Okay. So module 3, what I am writing is draw the block diagram or obtain the output of rectifiers, power supplies, amplifiers, oscillators, RC phase shift oscillator, etc. Okay. And module 4 also, I am writing familiarize with the functional block diagram of op-amp, ideal, inverting and non-inverting, logic gates. Hence draw the block diagram of digital multimeter and digital storage. Okay. So now I can write my course outcome 1. So to apply the principle of operation of active and passive components. So in module 1 and 2, I was studying about active and passive components. In the design of half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier, Zener voltage regulator, and verify the output of these according to the specifications. So this will be the criteria. This will be the action to design half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier, and Zener voltage regulator. And the condition will be to apply the principle of operation of active and passive components. Okay. So after taking 3 modules, I have written my course outcome 1. This is just a specification 101 to indicate that it is a first year, first semester, first course outcome for the subject. Okay. So after I had to write 3 module outcomes to get 1 course outcome. So this will be my takeaway, the students' takeaway from my course. He will be able to apply the principle of operation of active and passive components in the design of half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier, Zener voltage regulator, and verify the output obtained according to the specifications. And now I can, so till 3, I have written the first course outcome. Using module 4, I am writing the second course outcome to apply the principles of op-amp and logic gates to design the block diagram of digital storage and digital multimeter. So this is my second course outcome. So here I am going to design the block diagram of digital storage and digital multimeter by applying the principles of op-amp and logic gates. So this can be my course outcome 2. Okay. So till here I have finished. Till module 4, I have completed the module outcomes, and from 4 modules, I have got 2 course outcomes. Okay. Then let us see what is there in the 5th and 6th modules. So 5th module is also a very broad topic. Radio communication, principle of AM and FM, frequency band used for various communication systems, block diagram of super heterodyne receiver, satellite communication concept of geostationary satellite system. Okay, this is also a very broad area. And these are all the module outcomes. Module outcomes also, they are more in number now. See, this is a different topic. This is a different topic in satellite communication. This relates to radio communication. Then this one for satellite communication. So for module 5, I have written 2 module outcomes. Then module 6, I think I have written 2 module outcomes again. Okay. Now my course outcome stands at 2. Now I have to combine all these things as module outcomes. So I've combined all these things to design the block diagram of superheteroid receiver, geostationary satellite system, mobile communication, optical communication, and entertainment electronics technology, given the AM and FM frequency band, and verify the functionality. Okay. And there is one more thing. Okay, this is repeated. So I have written 3 course outcomes using my 8 module outcomes. Okay. Sorry, this is repeated. So this is the course outcome written for a very simple course. Of course, for higher levels, in higher semesters, it will be easier to write the course outcomes. And if you have the syllabus with you, it would be good if you can try to write the course outcomes. Maximum, if the number of hours, you should consider the number of hours of teaching also. How many hours are required to transfer the skills to the students? See here, we are not designing memory-based op-amp. Okay, sure. With the functional block diagram of op-amp, ideal inverting and non-inverting logic gates. All these things come in that module. Okay, so this is a module outcome, and hence draw the block diagram of digital multimeter and digital storage. If you look at this module, digital ICs, logic gates, you can put this as a separate module outcome. No problem. Okay. You can put this as a separate module outcome. This also can be put as a separate module outcome. Then you can increase the number of course outcomes also to apply the principle of operation of active and passive. Sorry. This is just an example how to write the course outcome so as to transfer some skill to the students. Okay. So here to apply the basic principle, this is what we finally have as the course module outcomes. Block diagram of optical, because syllabus is given like that. Block diagram of optical communication system, principle of light transmission through the fiber, advantages of optical communication system. Module outcome, you can write any number of module outcomes. Only thing is, you have to combine the module outcomes and design the course outcome in such a way that some sort of skill is transferred to the student. We are not designing anything here. We are just designing the block diagram. We are not going into the details of design on the topic. We are just designing the block diagram of a multimeter, for which you might need to know the functioning of op-amps or logic gates. All those things, the knowledge should be there to draw the block diagram. The only intention is to write the course outcomes in such a way that you can transfer some sort of skills to the students, and the course outcome should not be just identifying the resistor, capacitor, and things like that. Okay. So curriculum and achievement. So curriculum is not a syllabus or textbook driven. It should be a set of specific, measurable, appropriate, challenging, but achievable educational objective or skills, which the students will be acquiring at the end. Okay. So evaluation of student achievement can be made more valid and reliable as the benchmark of achievements is explicitly stated. Then coming to the assessments also. Inside the class, you can have formative assessments as well as summative assessments. So in class discussions, clinker questions, group work, weekly quizzes, 1-minute reflection writing assignments, homework assignments, surveys, all these are formative assessments which you can give inside the class. And the summative assessments, they lead to instructor created exams, standardized tests, final projects, final essays, final presentations, final reports, final grades, etc. So formative assessments are mainly used to get a feedback from the students as to how much they are understanding the subjects. Whereas summative assessments are used for the final gradings. Okay. So now we'll come to the introduction to the learning taxonomy. So all of us will be familiar with the Bloom's taxonomy, which was published by a group of college and university professors led by Benjamin S. Bloom, published a handbook in 1956 called Taxonomy of Educational Objectives, which has transformed our education system a lot because it provides a method to design the system in which we transfer our instructions to the students. So the classification of educational goals, Bloom's taxonomy is used extensively for planning of teaching, learning activities. So identify and write down the outcome-based course and module objectives based on Bloom's taxonomy. Then develop appropriate test items for all outcome-based objectives for both summative and formative evaluation. Then plan an outcome-based curriculum document to meet NBA and NAAC requirements. Okay, so all these, the basis of all these things will be the Bloom's taxonomy. We'll see what it is. So it is used for systematic planning for teaching and evaluation at macro and micro levels. So we can write the curriculum of any course in terms of observable student performance called course outcomes. We can plan teaching learning strategy in keeping with our course outcomes. And we can plan our assessment and evaluation strategies to match these course outcomes. Okay. So Benjamin Bloom asserted that all learning can broadly be classified into one of the following 3 domains: cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. So cognitive domain involves thinking, psychomotor domain involves action, and affective domain involves feelings or attitudes. So all these domains are covered by the 12 program outcomes provided by NBA. So each domain of learning has 5 or 6 levels, and the lowest level needs to be learned before learning the next higher level. So achievement at a higher level implies achievement at lower levels, and most levels are divided into multiple categories. So cognitive domain examples will be, say, value of pi, given a design, make it cost effective, where we have to think and do. Value of a minus b, we have to think. Psychomotor domain means cycling, operating a lathe, doing things in the lab. All those things come under psychomotor domain. So cognitive domain is the most involved in the higher education, and it includes all learning that deals with recall, recognition, development of intellectual abilities and skills. and 6 major categories levels starting from knowledge to evaluation. So we'll see the levels in the cognitive domain. You have two methods of representing this. One is the noun form and the other one is the verbal form. So in the noun form, the lowest level is knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. Okay. So highest level is evaluation. Comprehension means you are able to So suppose that you are translating something from one language to another language. That comes under comprehension. Into other forms of communication like data to graph, state in own words or explain, all those things come under comprehension. Then summarization means generalization. Then extrapolation means suppose you are watching the operation of a machine, you are able to describe it in your own words. That means refers to extrapolation. So all these things come under comprehension. Okay, knowledge is just remembering and recalling what you know. So these are the different levels under knowledge. Then you come to application level. So as I told you, in the program outcomes defined by NBA, we start with the application level. Okay, so lower levels can be given in the module outcomes. When it comes to course outcomes, you have to start with the application level. Okay, and these are the verbs, nouns which define the knowledge level. Name, all these things can be used for representing knowledge. Comprehension also, you have got a list of nouns specified over here. Then when it comes to application level, so application level, it should be understood in the real sense. Okay, be able to apply principles, concepts, methods, techniques, procedures, theories, information, etc. in a new situation. Okay, that is the real sense of application. For example, if I solve a problem in class and I also give the same question for exam, it is not application domain. This is only the first domain, that is remember, knowledge domain. Okay, so application should be in a new situation. Same problem in a different, with different values, can be a new situation. So that can come under application. But same problem, same values, it doesn't come under application. It only comes under remember. So these are the nouns which you can use for application. Then analysis. Student breaks learned information into its parts to best understand that information. Example, you are asked to find the voltage of a particular node. You can split the circuit into smaller circuits and analyze the circuit. Okay, so analysis of elements, recognizing hypothesis, conclusions from statements, unstated assumptions, statement of facts, values, etc. So all these things come under analysis. You have got certain verbs and nouns to describe analysis. Then comes types of synthesis. Putting small things together to get the whole thing. So drawing elements from many sources, putting them together in a new structure. Okay, so this is equivalent to creating in the verbal side. If you go back to the main structure, you can see knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis. When you come to the verbal side, it is creating. evaluation, evaluating. So this is the revised thing which will be following mostly. So this Bloom's taxonomy plays an important role in writing the course outcomes. And also while mapping the program outcomes, also this plays an important role. So solving complex engineering problems, it comes under, the word solve comes under application domain. Then analyze, the second program outcome, it comes under analysis. Complex components or processes, it comes under design or synthesis. Then investigations of complex problems, it comes under analyze as well as design. And complex engineering activities using modern engineering tools, it comes under synthesis as well as evaluation. So you can map the 5 program outcomes with the cognitive domain. Then psychomotor domain includes physical, movement, coordination and use of motor skill areas, requires practice. For example, you can take the example of driving practicing a cycle. So if you want to learn cycling, first you will imitate, which is the lowest level. Then you make manipulations of the movements. Then you make precise movements and you'll be cycling. Then comes articulation, where you can move say 1 or 2 kilometers by using a cycle. And the highest level is the naturalization level, where you do not even bother about what you are doing. It comes naturally. Once you are an expert in cycling, it's not a problem. You do not even think how to do all these steps. It comes naturally. So that is psychomotor domain. Then you have the affective domain, where you have feelings and attitudes. So if you take the example of smoking is injurious to health. So you're receiving the statement, which is the lowest level. Then you respond to the statement. If you responded in the positive way, you'll be valuing the statement. You'll be organizing yourself and you will be giving out smoking forever. So that is characterizing or the highest level here. So this is based on affective domain. Okay, I think we'll have a break of 5 minutes now. Meanwhile, if any of you can write the course outcome for your subject, we'll discuss on that. Let's have a small break here. We'll come back after 5 minutes.
Participants can resume the session at 3:15. participants. Dr. Therese Yamuna Mahesh is going to resume the session.
Welcome back. Sorry about that. We will resume our session now. Okay, so far we have seen what is a course outcome, how to write a course outcome using Bloom's taxonomy. And in this session, we can also see what is a commonly used method for measuring the course outcomes. Okay. So once we are ready with the course outcomes for the course, we know that we have written the course outcome in such a way that it is specific, it is measurable, and it is achievable. Okay. So now we can, since it is measurable, we can devise a method to measure the course outcomes. Okay. So we define a procedure for the calculation of course outcome of a course by using internal evaluation methods. Course outcome is also calculated using the marks obtained by student in the semester and external examination, usually conducted by the university. And the final course outcome, according to the current NBA manual, it is calculated by giving 80% weightage to the external examination marks and 20% weightage to the internal evaluation marks. Okay, so this is what is given in the manual, but the institution can also decide on the way they calculate the final course outcome. Also, the final level of attainment achieved is based on a scale decided by the institution. Okay. So in the current manual, they have specified that if 80% of the students have attained the level that is set by the institution, you have attained the course outcome in a very high, at a high level. If 70% of the students have reached the attainment value, you have attained at a medium level, and 60% have attained, it is at a low level. Below that, there is no attainment value. Okay, so we'll see a simple method to calculate the attainments. So here, the scale which I have selected is a scale of 3, because in the recent manuals, they are using a scale of 3 for attainment calculation. And here I have set the range of the marks, which I am going to use for my attainment calculation. So I have taken the total marks out of 100, 0 to 59. I have set the first scale 0 to 59 as low. Now this is at our discretion. Institution can define the range for low. I have taken it as 0 to 59. 60 to 74 I have taken as the medium value, and 75 to 100 I have taken it as the high value. Now for calculating my attainment, I have reduced this to a scale of 1, or I have normalized this value. So now my value is 0 to 0.59, 0.6 to 0.74, 0.75 to 1. So this is in a scale of 1. I have normalized it. So after normalizing, I think of converting it to a scale of 3. Because in the manual, they have given everything in a scale of 3. So I convert this to a scale of 3. So now it is 0 to 1.77, 1.8 to 2.22, 2.23 to 3. So after normalization, I have brought it to a scale of 3. So this is the first level, second level, and the third level. First level indicates low, second level indicates medium, and the third level indicates the highest level. Okay. So I hope this is clear. I am calculating my attainment calculations in 3 levels, low, medium and high. And based on marks, this is the range of marks that I have specified. 0 to 59, 60 to 74, 75 to 100. I have normalized it and converted to a scale of 3. So these are my ranges in a scale of 3. Now, some monthly test questions. We'll be assessing the students, giving series test 1, series test 2, assignments, etc. Now, while conducting the series test, if the question 1 is for say 20 marks, this is for testing the attainment of CO 1.101.1. So let us assume that I have got 3 course outcomes for my course. That is specified by CO101.1, CO101.2 and CO101.3. For my course, I have got 3 course outcomes. And in the series test 1, these are the marks that I assign for each question. And the question 1 is for 20 marks. This is used for testing CO 101.1. That is the first course outcome. And the second question is for 20 marks. This is used for testing the attainment of course outcome 2. And the third question is for 10 marks. This is used for testing the course outcome 3. Okay, so this is for series test 1. Then I have series test 2. There also I have a number of questions. And here the first question is used for testing the attainment of course outcome 2. Second question is used for testing the attainment of course outcome 2. Third question is also used for testing the attainment of course outcome 2. So now I have got 20 plus 20 plus 30 marks for checking the attainment of course outcome 2. Series test 3. Here also I give a number of questions and I find that here all the questions are used for checking the attainment of course outcome 3. Okay. So if I consider all the 3 series tests, if the total marks for course outcome 1 is 20, that is for course outcome 1, I have got 20 marks for checking course outcome 1 in series test 1. So if the total marks for course outcome 1 is 20, then my T factor, I have got a factor of T here. That is normalized. After normalization, I multiply this value with 3 to convert it to a scale of 3. So here, if the total marks for course outcome 1 is 20, then my T is 20. The total marks for course outcome 2 is 70, my T is 70. The total marks for course outcome 3 is 60, then my T is, sorry, this is 60. There's a mistake here. Then all the summative assessment marks can be included for the calculation. You can add any number of questions. The value of T can take the value of the marks for each question. Then suppose if my course outcome 1, my T value is 100. I have tested the students for 100 marks. Okay. Course outcome 2 also I have tested for 100 marks. Course outcome 3 also say I have tested for 100 marks. Okay. Then I normalize the value just by dividing by 100 and into 3. Okay. So all the 3 course outcomes I do in the same manner. I normalize the values multiplied by 3 to convert it to a scale of 3. Okay. So now this will be my internal evaluation in a scale of 3 for course outcome 1. for the entire subject considering the 3 course outcomes. I'm taking the average of this. So this will be the average for CO 101 for each student. So I have taken 10 students here. I have written down their marks. I have normalized the marks by dividing by 100, converted it to a scale of 3 by multiplying it by 3 for all the 3 course outcomes. I hope this is clear. My course has got 3 course outcomes. All the course outcomes I am testing the students for a mark of 100. So I am normalizing the values by dividing by 100. Then I am converting it to a scale of 3 by multiplying it by 3. All the 3 course outcomes I am multiplying by 3. And this gives me the course outcome for each student for the subject CO 101. Course outcome, total course outcome is nothing but the average of these values. And the total course outcome for each subject can also be taken as an average of each columns. The average of each columns will give the score for CO course outcome 1, course outcome 2, course outcome 3. Okay. And the value for the total course outcome will be the average of these 3. So that will be 2.04 in a scale of 3. I hope this is clear. We have seen a mark-based evaluation based on the values which come in the ranges of low, medium and high. You can just put the values of 1, 2 or 3. For example, 84 comes in the high level. You can put the value 3 here and follow the same procedure. This will be useful when the marks are not known and you are given only the grades. In that, if you know only the grades, you can follow such a procedure. So this is based on this grading system. Now the internal evaluation of CO 101. You can take the values obtained for each student. You can classify how many students are in the low range, medium range, and in the high range. And according to the new manual provided by NBA, if 80% of the students are in this value, you have attained the course outcome. If 70% of the students, you have to set a range also. See here. This is for showing how many have come in the low range, medium range and high range based on the number of students based on external marks. Then you can have a comparative chart for internal evaluation and external evaluation. Then finally, the total attainment is obtained by considering 80% marks from the external evaluation and 20% marks from the internal evaluation. So this is the value written here by taking 80% of external evaluation and 20% of internal evaluation for each student. And this will be the final attainment of the course outcome. And here we are fixing the attainment level at 1.8, which corresponds to 60%. So if a student crosses 1.8, he is supposed to have attained the course outcome. If you take the class as a whole, you can calculate how many students have attained this level. And if it is 80% or more, the attainment is at a high level. If it is 70%, you can claim 70% medium attainment. And if it is less than that, 60%. If it is less than 60%, there is no attainment. And if it is greater than 60%, 60 to 70, 75, we are taking it as medium attainment level. So you have to tabulate the course out. These are the course outcomes of different subjects. So this is course outcome for subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4, subject 5 in the first year. This is the attainment of course outcome for subject 1 in the current academic year minus 1, current academic year minus 2. In all these three cases, the minimum attainment level required was 1.8. And you can see that the courses have reached the attainment level in all the 3 years. Here you can see there is a reduction, there is a dip in the value. For subject 105, it has not reached the attainment level. You can draw a graph also for current attainment for current academic year minus 1, current academic year minus 2, and this color indicates the minimum attainment level. So from this graph you can see that here the attainment is satisfied, here also satisfied, but here it is not satisfactory. Similarly, you can see the attainment values for each student also for each course outcome. Score for course outcome 1, course outcome 2, course outcome 3. Internal evaluation a scale of 3 for course outcome 1 for the student 1. Then there is a method of setting our question paper also based on the course outcomes and the Bloom's level. So according to the engineering standards as described by NBA, the Bloom's level should not drop below level 3. So level 3 is applying, level 4 is analyzing, so we are given the course outcomes at the bottom. So the first question, course outcome, these questions 1, 2, 3 are mapped to course outcomes 1. And questions 4 and 5, they are mapped to course outcomes 6. And they also, and by means of Bloom's levels, we specify the level or Bloom's level also in the question paper. And the course outcome wise mark distribution is also shown here. In this case, course outcome 1, 60% of marks goes to course outcome 1. In course outcome 6, 40% of the marks goes to course outcome 6. So this is another one example of a outcome, course outcome based on pattern recognition. Then based on the course outcome, you can directly write the survey questions also, because the course outcome shows the skill that you are transferring to the students. The survey questions can be to what extent are you able to apply the particular skill? And the option can also be given for the students to mark. So we have seen this part of the structure where we have seen the assessment methods for the semester exam, assignment, lab assignments, project, seminar, and viva. So we have seen the assessment method for the theory subjects, and also labs can be included in that. Evaluation of project, seminar, viva. When you evaluate these 3 items, we have to concentrate on the program outcomes 6 to 12 also. So program outcomes 6 to 12, they have to be attained through all these evaluation assessment methods. So assessment methods, they have to be mapped, and this will lead to the attainment of COs. So attainment of COs in turn will lead to the attainment of the program outcomes. And we have an indirect method of assessing also using alumni feedback, exit survey, and employer feedback. We'll be seeing the forms of these things also. And this is how we mark. We map our course outcomes to our program outcomes. See, this is CO 801.1. This is something which comes in the 8th semester. You can map the subject to the corresponding program outcome. We know that we have 12 program outcomes. So the course outcomes can be mapped to the program outcomes, and the level of mapping can be high, medium, or low. Another example for a course outcome in the second year, CO 201.1, medium, high, high. These are the mappings with respect to the corresponding program outcomes. So suppose these are the values which you obtained by calculating the program course outcome. These values have to be substituted over here. Initially, you have to map these values to the program outcomes. Then the actual values have to be substituted in these places. This is the amount of correlation between the course outcome and the program outcome. So when you map over here, when it is high, you can directly substitute the value over here. If it is medium, you have to multiply it by 0.6. And if it is low, you have to multiply the value by 0.3. So this is the mapping showing the actual values for the course outcomes. Take the average. Corresponding to PO1, PO2, PO3 up to PO12. So this is just showing for the first year. You have to map all the courses from the first year to the final year to all the program outcomes. Take the average, and that will give you the attainment of the program outcome value. So what we calculated for the course outcomes, you have to map to the program outcomes over here. You have to do it for all the 4 years. Take the average for PO1, PO2 up to PO12. And you can fix the level of attainment of the program outcomes also. The same way you fix the level of attainment for the course outcomes. Okay, with this, we come to the end of this attainment calculation for course outcome and the program outcomes. So in the chat, there are some questions. What is the difference between design and create? And design is also an action verb which you can use. It comes in the synthesis level. It comes under the synthesis level. It's in the higher level. And design is also an action verb which you can use to write the CO. I think we have finished all the questions also. Yeah, our CO should have three components. Definitely, it should have the three components: condition, criteria, and performance. Only then we'll be able to measure the skill that we have transferred to the students. And for it to be specific, the condition component has to be there for the CO to be specific, and the criteria component should be there for the CO to be achievable. Formative assessments, they can be used as a feedback in the class to see whether the interactive processes are going on well, whether the students are attaining the skills in the right direction. COs should be specific in the sense, only then it will be student centric. Students should know what they are going to achieve by studying this particular course. Minimum cognitive level, as we can see from the program outcomes specified by NBA, the first program outcomes is in the application level. It is apply the knowledge using mathematics to solve engineering problems. PO 6 to 12, they come in the non-cognitive domain. They also have to be attained through our courses. And we can use our lab sessions and project and Viva to attain the non-cognitive domain program outcomes. And also internships, all those things can add to attaining the non-cognitive level program outcomes. I think we have come to the end of the question answers also.
Good afternoon, all. Okay, Dr. Teresa Simanahish has imparted her expertise to the layman with so much involvement that the practices to know, for example, what is outcome-based education, characteristics of learning outcome, then mapping of CO with PO, giving examples of formative and summative assessments, the domain of learning, and explain how Bloom's taxonomy is a boon for teachers. Madam, it was a very fruitful session for all. Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Also, dear participants, please fill the attendance and feedback form for the session. And also, tomorrow's forenoon session will begin at 10 a.m. Thank you.